Hi, welcome back to Grains in Small Places, and today I'm going to be doing a video of something that I get asked a lot. So a lot of you are asking me, how do I make my frozen pizzas, basically. So we will use my pizza dough recipe, and then we will turn them into frozen pizzas. That way you or your kids, or if you want to gift them or do meal train, anything like that, you have a beautiful freezer meal ready to go at any time. You can prepare as many as you want. Say you work full time and you need to get some frozen pizzas done, you could make a whole baking day to make a whole bunch of frozen pizzas if you wish. So I'm going to show you how I do that today. So let's get started. Okay, so last week we made a cheesy garlic pull-apart bread, and we made that with my pizza dough recipe. So if you missed that video, make sure to go back and check it out because that recipe is incredible. Okay, so for today's video, I'm gonna make sure to put a link to the recipe for my pizza dough in the description box below. That way you can grab that recipe, make it whenever you want, double it, triple it, whatever you want to do. I love to make the pizza dough in advance and then divide it up, oil my bags, and put it in the refrigerator or even the freezer. I love this pizza dough recipe. It's super versatile, so you can use it for so many different things. I just had somebody message me just the other day saying they made cinnamon rolls out of it, and they were like their family's favorite cinnamon rolls ever. So I love to use this dough for lots of things, and I love to always have some in my fridge or freezer. Quick, easy meal. Let's say you want to have some freezer meals prepared, or you want to have some frozen pizzas for maybe your kids are having, friends over, or you're having friends over and you just want an easy meal, but you want to make sure that it is nice and filled with our fresh milled flour, right? Because we get our nutrients from the fresh milled flour. I don't know about you, but when I eat pizza from a takeout place, yes, it tastes delicious, but I'm always paying for it like, oh, that heavy feeling not great. So I've found that when I eat pizza made with fresh milled flour on the dough, I do not have that problem whatsoever. I actually feel better once I eat that. So today, Matt is going to help us make our frozen pizzas because these are amazing to have. They're easy to do. If you have kids that love to help in the kitchen, this is something they can help you do. And you can make, as many as you want and put them in your fridge or freezer. So he shows you two different ways. We can either stretch out the dough or you could roll out the dough. And he likes to take a fork and prick the dough. We've done this many times, so we've done it different ways every time. But he likes to take a fork and prick the dough. That way you don't get any large air bubbles, which you'll see here later in the video. If you don't do that, you'll get some air bubbles, which don't bother me. I kind of like the air bubbles. So it really just depends on preference. Either way, they'll work out. So what you're going to want to do is stretch the dough out. We like to put it on parchment paper. Sometimes I'll mill some rice and then sprinkle that on the bottom of the parchment paper and lay the dough over top, so it's kind of like cornmeal. You could also use cornmeal, which helps the pizza dough to glide easily on and off the parchment paper, which is something we definitely do when we're making the pizzas to have, right that day. But for frozen pizzas, you want to par bake the crust. When I'm making my pizzas fresh, I'll just go ahead and put all the toppings on and they'll be ready, we'll bake them, they'll be ready to go. If you want your pizza dough thicker, you can, of course, customize this to the dough that you like. So if you like thick pizza crust or thin pizza crust, you can prepare this in so many ways. It's, like I said before, it's very versatile. You want to make sure to put it in the oven. I like to preheat the oven to 475 degrees Fahrenheit. Put the dough in, let it par bake for maybe 5 to 7 minutes, just until it's firm enough to hold its shape. Then I know that, it'll be able to hold the pizza toppings. So here he is rolling it out rather than stretching it out. Everyone has their preferences. This is the way he prefers it. I like to stretch it. So it really just depends on what you want to do. We have some pizza sauce. You can make this a white pizza. You can use olive oil. You can use pizza sauce, whatever you want to top your pizzas with. Make them into flatbreads, barbecue sauce, you name it. Go for all of those unique and creative ideas that your family loves. I love it when you guys message me telling me like all the cool ingredients that you've used, things I have never even thought of, things that sound delicious. It just inspires me and gives me more creativity to come up with more ideas. So thanks for that, guys. So just put whatever you're using for your sauce, or don't put a sauce, whatever, if you just want to use olive oil or garlic salt, whatever, and then your toppings. So if you're using cheese, put the cheese on there and any other toppings. And then you're good to go. You don't need to bake it with the toppings on. That's going to come when you pull it out of the freezer. Okay, so now you can see the pizza dough has been par baked. It's not baked all the way through. It's just enough to hold itself up. And then that's when you can add your toppings. So here we're basically just making a basic cheese pizza. So this is another great option. If you don't know what toppings you want to put on there because you don't know who's going to be eating these, you can always just make it a basic plain cheese pizza or a plain pizza, and then you could add toppings on it when you go to bake it out of the freezer as well. So that's another great option. So you have many different ideas that you can make from just the basics. Okay, so how we like to package these up is to put foil around them. Since we're not baking the toppings, we don't have to worry too much about the cheese, sticking to the foil or anything like that. So if you are planning on making these and using them for like this weekend or next weekend, you can probably just leave it in the foil. But if you want longer term storage, you probably need to then, after you wrap it with foil, wrap it with some plastic wrap or cling film once or twice, and that way that will help prevent from freezer burn. So that will get you much longer storage in your freezer. And then another great thing about having the foil is we'll take like a permanent marker and write the reheating instructions. So we'll put like 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 to 15 minutes. So that baking time can vary for everyone. I have my son who loves his pizza where the cheese is just melted and it's still somewhat soft. And I have my daughter who likes it to be, some would say, almost burnt. So that cooking time obviously varies to how you like to have your pizza. But that's another great thing about cooking at home from scratch is you can choose what you want it to taste like and what you want it to look like. So this is the second pizza that he said he didn't put the holes in it, or if he did it, they didn't go all the way through or what. But you can see in the center, there's this like large air bubble. So that's what happens. But I find when they cool down, they kind of deflate. You can still put toppings on it, no big deal. So really that's a step that if you want to do it, you can. If you forget about it, it's not detrimental to the recipe. This one we're just doing, again, just another plain cheese pizza. We can add toppings later if we want, wrapping it up with foil and then wrapping it up with some cling film. So the recipe that I'm going to put in the description box is for just the pizza dough. And that batch of pizza dough will get you either 2 really large thin crust pizzas, or you can get 3 like decent size, maybe 12 to 13 inch pizzas. And then, or you could get like 4 to 6 just little personalized small pizzas. So really you can decide, divide the dough up if you're wanting 2 giant pizzas, which are hard to fit in my size freezer and my oven. So I don't ever make those. So I usually make like that medium 12-inch pizza and I get about 3 thin crusts. If you want thicker crust, obviously, you're going to need more crust for each pizza. So just divide it accordingly, how you want it, how many you want it. And if you want to double the batch of dough, then go ahead and double it and you can make even more. So that's how we just make a quick, easy, fresh milled flour frozen pizza to have anytime we want in the freezer. And my kids are able to do this. I mean, obviously, they're teenagers now, so I don't know about how young, as long as your child is old enough that you feel comfortable they can work your oven. So here's where we're going to pull it out of the freezer. This one was 375 degrees Fahrenheit. I think that my daughter actually left it in the oven a little bit longer because, as I said, she likes hers almost burnt. So to her, that is perfect. So some of you might think, that's a little on the dark side. So just, watch it. If you do the 10 to 15 minutes at 375, you should not have an issue. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I hope that this video brought you some value of how you can kind of get things in your freezer stocked so that you have stuff ready to go. I know not everybody can bake every day, so it's just nice to have these things in the freezer. So if you want to find my pizza dough recipe or any other recipe that I have, it's all on my blog at grainsandsmallplaces.net. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And thanks for stopping by Grains and Small Places. Goodbye. Ba-ba-da-ba.